It's 2 in the morning and you get hungry. You decided to make a run to the local gas station and pick up a snack and a Gatorade. It's dark when you arrive and the lighting is bad. A man approaches your car. 2 hours later, you're still giving the police report to a tired cop who has no interest in being there. You just want to go home. This scenario is exactly what would happen if the nation followed the advice of a New York Times editorial titled, "It's Time to Overhaul Clemency," in which they recommend a new review system that would allow hundreds more prison inmates back on the streets. I will be refuting the idea that our current system needs an overhaul while giving inherent problems with the change and a few possible solutions. The main problem with the New York Times position of clemency can be summed up into one term: recidivism. This is the data, percentage, and rate of inmates released from prison. Now, according to the Bureau of Statistics ran by the federal government, 2/3 of released inmates are back in prison after 3 years. 3/4 are back in prison after 5 years. This goes to show that our prison's rehabilitation programs are not working at a high level of success, logically leading to the need for other alternatives. What the editorial was advocating is that we should change the process of granting pardons. This would allow thousands of new unscreened cases, including drug charges, rape, assault, and others, to be mass reviewed and sent through. The New York Times made it seem like this is President Obama's job, and thus far he has not been lenient enough. While it might hold true that Obama should grant a few pardons in special cases that have been reviewed. See, I'm not completely against pardons and clemency. I believe that if somebody can be proven rehabilitated, they should be let go. But to counter that, the Office of the Pardon Attorney statistics show that in the past 20 years, only one president has granted more than 100 pardons in that year. This is very, very different than what the New York Times editorial is suggesting. It's not even saying increase the need for petitions or the need for clemency and letting just a few more people out. The editorial is claiming that we should release thousands of inmates through a quick screen process that would release them and lighten their sentences. Now, it's kind of easy to see that crime is increasing in society. Just take a look at the violent crime statistics from Crime in America's Crime Totals. They show that in 2011 and 2012, violent crime increased for the first time in 20 years. So in essence, while we have more violent criminals being locked up, they still want to release these same criminals back into society. I just don't think that's a good idea. And, our judicial system may not be perfect, but it does still work. A better argument that the New York Times could have made is to change existing laws. If we change drug laws, we're not going to send thousands of people to prison and turn them into hardened criminals. At any rate, changing the laws and reviewing who we send to prison would be a better alternative than mass releasing thousands of hardened inmates. Add that on top of the fact that society already has a lot of problems on its own. Poverty rates are high. As I just said, violent crimes are high. Heck, even in Colorado and Washington, the citizens are high. By examining recidivism rates, understanding prevention techniques, and focusing on history as a guide, we can understand that the position the New York Times editorial makes is flawed and half-baked at best. Everyone has an opinion, and rightly so. However, the opinion of a few editors does not compete against heavily studied research done over the past 20 years. By allowing a change in our clemency system, the nation would be allowing those who have done harm to re-enter society before their rightful time, whether intentional or by accident. Our nation should change the way we view criminals. We should try to help them and mold them into productive members of society. But we should not be quick to release them into the public unless they are deemed safe. If one of my loved ones or to be attacked by a pardoned inmate released 5 years early, I would not be a happy citizen of this great country. Stay safe.